All right, guys, can we real quickly just talk about the journey to the journey? I just came out of boxing class and I had an epiphany, a realization, even though I know they're finally different in terms of how they're defined, epiphany and realization, because epiphany is something that comes to you immediately, and then realization comes over time. But I think it's a blend of both. So I'm going to say I had my epiphany and then had my realization as it occurred. So after I finished my boxing class, I was so proud of how strong I felt and how quick my reflexes were. I've been taking boxing over the last 10 months, and to be able to now see my body movements sync with one another, because my arm and leg coordination weren't always together outside of running, and to be able to swing and feel my hips move in the right positions and things of that nature, and really practicing that to now get to a point where I can dodge reflexes and still swing at the same time. That's what I was learning with my coach today. And it goes to show how consistency over time can really impact your improvement. And it's just something that you have to keep doing. I've been doing boxing. It started Monday, Saturdays, and then they canceled Monday classes. But I've been doing twice a week from February to July. And then mid-July, they only started doing it once a week. So I was doing once a week from July to November. And on my own, I could be doing better in terms of how I practice boxing to speed up my process, but in the capacity that I've been able to do, because I do it at least once a week, I can see the improvement in my arms. And for those of you who do know me, when I ran track when I was 8 years old, between 8 and 14, when I was running track, they made a specific name for the way I do push-ups because they were so bad and my arms were so skinny. My wrist is already small. I don't know if you can tell how small my wrist is, but the top of my arm was the size of my wrist. I was that skinny. And even when I transitioned to basketball in high school, they still made fun of how I did push-ups. I just had no arm strength. Now, why was I doing basketball when I had no arm strength? That's another story for another day. I was a shooter, okay? But besides the point, boxing taught me that over time you can build that strength. My arms are stronger than ever. I can finally see the little lines that you get when you get your muscles, and it's so cool to see the evolution. And in this case, I feel like when it comes to working out, you can see the evolution of consistency much quicker, which then you can apply to the way you develop systems, with a caveat, because when you're building a system, you're developing that muscle to continue to expand how you're going to build out. For me, for example, this business, and specifically with the Mind Economy series, Ayko Visions, the collaborations, and what that looks like. However, it's some days, every day almost looks different to me. Some days I'm able to really hone in on the organizational aspects. Other days I'm more creative. Other days I have to focus on social media. Other days I can expand on the products that we're developing. Other days I'm doing courses, and building all of this at one time makes me reflect on how I can correlate the two between working out every single day and building this system out. Because to be fair, with boxing, they already had a structure when it came to the classes that I'm taking. This hour time to take the first half and do our boxing, the other half to build that strength. And now, as I am thinking back on how I can apply that to the mental workout that I am doing to build out the system, is really important. And I like to associate boxing with the journey to the journey, because I am still on this journey of building out the system, and I will see the improvements over time, and already have. Whether it was building the book, whether it was doing our first workshop, whether it was doing our first in-person workshop, whether it was our first collaboration, there's been so many strides. But I say all this to say it's important for us to remind ourselves of how far we've come when it comes to the work that we do, especially when we don't always see a physical result. And especially as you're building, and I've been listening to the audiobook Garrett Gunderson, Money Unmasked, and reflecting on how to catapult your business. And I reflect on that too when it comes to striking sales, having pre-sales, building the hype around that. And that's what I am continuing to learn to implement into my space. MySpace. And seeing how that works, but at the same time remembering, even to what Myron says, if y'all are noticing the two things that I've been listening to, this is my course in my chapter to better myself for my purpose in the Mind Economy series. And it's a matter of continuing to do the work to then see the result. When I was doing boxing, I just enjoyed it. So I came every single week. I was so sad on the weeks that I couldn't make it. And to now be able to say, oh, I see the result. That's something that I have to remember, and hope that through my journey I can instill in everyone else, to just remember how far you've come, and that you're going to look back and see the results that you had just because you were so zoned in on getting through that practice, focusing on that one tweak. My movement did not come over time, and to now be able to see that my hips are now correlated with my swing and my hook and my uppercut, it's so cool to see, because I knew that back in July, that was when I was like, okay, my hips aren't moving the way that I need to, but let me just keep doing this. And I think to apply that into the systems that I build, not get thrown off track by all the nuances that continue to build into this system, to then move faster. It's not about moving faster, it's really about getting it right. And I think learning and embracing that I can be slow in these moments, it's really about pending and really fleshing out the nuances to make them cohesive. And that's exactly what I did with my body movement. So I say all this to say, go work out. It's the journey to your journey. It can open your eyes to have both epiphanies and realizations along the way, to then implement into every aspect of your life, because at the end of the day, it's all connected. So if you enjoyed what I had to say, like, share, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys more soon.